Welcome back, guys, to the second episode of Local Legends, where we interview some of the top local business owners in the greater Charlotte area. Today we're here in South End visiting John Marrino, the founder of Olde Mecklenburg Brewery, Charlotte's oldest brewery, which really ignited the boom we saw in the craft beer industry here in Charlotte. Today we get to learn a little bit more about how it all started and also what we can expect to see from Olde Mecklenburg Brewery here moving forward. Guys, let's go meet John. John, thank you so much for your time. Super excited for the opportunity to learn a little bit more about you, how you built this fantastic brewery, and how you became the most popular brewery here in the greater Charlotte area.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks for coming.
So John, you are the founder and owner of the oldest brewery here in Charlotte and the most popular brewery, hands down. If you could just tell us a little bit about where it all began and how it all started.
Well, first of all, I don't know if we're the most popular. That's subjective. So, but we're one of the popular breweries in town. Well, it all started by chance, really. In 2006, I quit my job. Our company had gotten acquired, and by a large conglomerate, and I didn't really enjoy it anymore. So I quit and needed to find something else to do with the second half of my career. And took a little trip around the country, rented an RV, took a 3-month trip with my wife and daughter, and hopefully, the idea was to get an idea during the trip of what to do. I did want to start a business. About 2/3 of the way through the trip, we were in Montana, I only had a month left, and I was getting nervous because I didn't have an idea. And lo and behold, I picked up a Wall Street Journal one day, and there was a little article in there about a guy rebuilding the Narragansett beer brand in New England. And it was literally a light bulb moment. I turned and looked at my wife and I said, I don't think Charlotte has a brewery. And I said, that's what I'll do when I go back to Charlotte. I'll go back there and I'll open up a brewery and make the German style beers that I missed since I moved back to the US from Europe. And so that's what I did. I got back to Charlotte and I bought my first homebrew kit and started brewing beer and started researching the industry. And it took us about 1.5 years to get open, but that was the beginning.
That's super cool. How was the first brew in the home brew kit?
Terrible. That was terrible. Yeah. It was, brewing is like cooking, so it takes a while to get the hang of it, and just like with cooking, you modify the recipe. Whether the food's too salty or whatever, you modify it based on taste, and beer's really no different.
Charlotte was the biggest city without a brewery at its time before you opened Olde Mecklenburg Brewery. Tell us a little bit about kind of how you went from having your own kind of homebrew kit to creating Olde Mecklenburg Brewery.
When I got back, I bought the homebrew kit, and I actually went on the internet and bought every book known to man on how to make beer. And at the same time, I said, okay, I have to learn this industry. So I started researching the industry itself and started traveling around to breweries in the region. And just studying the business side of it and working on building a business plan. And then that took me a little while to put together. And then I reached out to a few friends and a couple of neighbors and said, hey, listen, I'm going to start this brewery. Do you have any interest? And a few of them did, and we started off with 6 investors. Well, 5 investors plus me. We got open in March of 2009. So it took almost 1.5 years between the idea and the opening to occur. So there was a little bit of work involved.
Okay. It always is starting a business, but I mean, look what you're able to create. It's fantastic.
It didn't come all at once. I mean, it was really difficult at first, but after a while, we started to get some momentum, and the scene changed here in Charlotte with the breweries. More breweries opening actually helped, not hurt at first. So it was really kind of a good thing because it created awareness. So it was good for all of us. Breweries became a thing in Charlotte, which it really wasn't before OMB. Breweries came and went, but none of them ever stayed here, right? Some of them, they all went out of business. So fortunately, knock on wood, we're the oldest, and as long as we stay in business, we'll never lose that title.
I know that really when you guys started Olde Mecklenburg Brewery, Charlotte was a completely different place. And since then, the brewery scene, like you said, and also Charlotte itself has just frankly boomed. How do you feel about the growth that we've seen here in Charlotte?
Well, the growth is great. Obviously, the more people that move to town every day, the more beer consumers show up, right? and a lot of people are coming from the north, which I would say has a more mature craft beer culture. And so that's actually good for the craft breweries here. And obviously more people means more business. So, and you know, Charlotte's becoming a big city. You know, it was, I moved here in 2002 and it was a wonderful place then. It's a more wonderful place now. It's, you know, it's got so much to offer. It's great, just a great spot.
Gotcha. What was the thing that surprised you most about the growth that we've seen in Charlotte?
Just how rapid it went. So when I bought this property in 2012, one of the things I said to my partners is I said, look, the city's coming at us. And someday we're going to be this little green oasis sitting in the middle of a big city.
Yeah.
And it's here now.
Yeah.
So there's apartment buildings going up all around us and office buildings. And so it's reached us, and I didn't think it would come this quickly.
Yeah.
But it's been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
You know?
It's super cool to have that vision though, because it was a completely different place back then and to where it is now. You guys are in a hub and you've created a super cool kind of location and spot here as well. What are your thoughts about the future of Charlotte as far as what we can possibly see here in the future?
Yeah, well, I think Charlotte has great potential. It's going to continue to grow. I think biggest concern I have, which I'm sort of addressing with our additional locations, is the transportation and infrastructure. You know, traffic is terrible, and it's going to get worse. Because we don't really have mass transit here.
Yeah.
You know, we have a couple of things, but not real mass transit, no subways. So you really have to get in a car and to go across town. And as it gets more dense and the roads don't get bigger quick enough, that's going to be a real hassle.
Yeah.
And so we think things may break down into more neighborhoods, you know, and people will stay in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Especially after getting home from work. You know,
Yeah.
once you park your car, nobody wants to get back in the car and drive another 45 minutes to go out, right?
Exactly.
So.
And there's a lot of super cool little boroughs kind of being created in the greater Charlotte area as well. I know you're opening up a new location in Ballantyne, right? Actually, in Naboe, you'll be their flagship tenant. Can you tell us a little bit about what we could possibly expect from there?
Yeah, well, that's actually goes back to what you just asked me previously. Is that what I recognized in 2016? I actually sent a note to my partners and I said, look, I think we need to shift our strategy a little bit. I think the town's growing very fast. You know, people that live in South Charlotte would be happy to come here.
Yeah.
But people that live up in Lake Norman or people that live down in the southeast are not going to drive here after work because it's going to take too long.
Yeah.
And so we decided to look in the south, up at the Lake Norman, and also on the west side to see if we could find some locations to put basically this same concept so that people in those areas would have this type of a concept to go visit. And it looks like the first one out of the gates is going to be Ballantyne. The way that one occurred is that when Northwood bought the Ballantyne Resort, I saw it in the Charlotte Business Journal, and I immediately called them. And I said, that's a perfect location for a beer garden. Yeah. And of course they had already done a fantastic concept down in Austin, Texas that they showed me. And you know, we started talking immediately, and we were talking ever since, and now it's going to come to fruition. So we're excited about it. It's going to be a great location.
That is super cool. Yeah. And that will be the closest location to me, so I am super excited to go there all the time. I tell my wife about it. I think Ballantyne Reimagined has a lot of super cool things like coming to that area. And like you said earlier, you're kind of creating that borough where everything's right there. So you come home from work and you live, eat, dine, shop, right all in the same area.
Yeah.
And I know you have plans for Mount Holly as well, right in Elm Street, and then also over in Cornelius as well, right?
Yes. Mount Holly will probably be the next one open. We're working on that now. We've purchased the land on the river. We're in the design development at the moment. We hope to start construction on that early next year and be open sometime in the middle of 24. But that's going to be a great location overlooking the Catawba River, nice. Really relaxed. It's very serene just watching the river go by. Very nice spot. So we're excited about that. And it's on the other side of the river, so folks in Gaston County will have a place they can go to without having to cross the river. So that's the idea.
Because definitely the traffic is a lot of times a little bit difficult, right?
There's only so many bridges to get over that river, so it can get a little dicey at times, yeah.
Will you be on the river itself or overlooking the river?
We're actually overlooking it. So the riverfront, of course, is a flood zone. So what's nice is that there's a bluff, and so our actual beer garden and restaurant will be about 15 feet above the river.
Okay, super.
But it actually creates a better view. And there's a beautiful old trestle train bridge going across there, which is kind of neat when you see the trains going over while you're sitting out there drinking a beer. It'll be fantastic.
Nice. Creates that ambiance.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
And when can we expect to see the Mount Holly one? Is there kind of a rough time?
Yeah, we hope to be open summer of 24. Yeah,
Summer
that's the goal. You know, we're struggling a little bit with construction costs right now, so we're working hard on that because with all this inflation, construction costs have gone way up. So we're working hard with our contractor and architect partners to sort that out, and then once we get that sorted out, we're off to the races.
Nice.
So,
love that. And then where are you guys at in the process as far as the Cornelius location you're looking for?
yeah, Cornelius was actually the first property we bought, but it's a longer process because Cornelius is a difficult place to develop in up around the lake, and they have some unique traffic issues that they're working through, and we're also a little bit dependent upon our development partner up there to build the infrastructure.
Okay.
So, and that takes a little while. So that's why we think that Cornelius is maybe more like a 2025 opening.
I think that was some of the super cool things about your guys' breweries is it's a lot different than a lot of the other breweries you go to, or it's just kind of a brewery in a little place where you can go and try a few beers. You guys have really created something super cool, a beer garden aspect of it as well. Where do you get the inspiration as far as how you design your venues?
Well, so I lived in Germany for 4 years, and I absolutely love the beer gardens over there. And I used to come back and say, you know, why don't we have any of those in the U.S.? And I always tell people, I say, you know, I don't know anybody that's been over to Germany and been to a beer garden and said, you know, that was terrible. I didn't like it at all. You know, usually they're like, oh, it was great. I had a wonderful time. And so my goal when I opened the brewery originally was to eventually build a beer garden. I couldn't accomplish it at my old property. A couple doors down the street because of just the way that it was configured.
Yeah.
But when this property came up for sale, I jumped on it, and because I was like, here I can create my vision, and we bought this, and it was in terrible shape, but we converted it into what is an authentic Munich-style beer garden out here, and that's really our niche. You know, that's what makes OMB different from most other breweries is the beer garden. And so when we decided to go to Ballantine and Cornelius and Mount Holly, it was an absolute must that they have a beer garden. So if I couldn't get the right property to build a great beer garden, then we wouldn't do it. And I've been offered many locations around town where it's in a standard building with a patio, and that's not our thing, right? You know. There's nothing wrong with the patio, don't get me wrong, but what makes OMB unique is the beer garden. The weather's great in Charlotte, right?
Yep.
We have such a long outdoor season. I mean, we have a much longer beer garden season than they have in Germany. If you're up north, you might have a 90-day beer garden season. But down here, our beer garden season is 10 months or 11 months. And who wants to sit inside when the weather's so beautiful out? I mean, it's so much nicer to sit outside. So for us, it's an absolute necessity to have a beer garden, and we will have them at all the locations.
What can we expect from Olde Mecklenburg Brewery in the future, other than the 3 new locations you're doing all at once? I'll commend you on.
Well, we're not doing them totally all at once. They're kind of like staggered a little bit, but we're just going to keep doing what we do. We like to make pure, fresh, traditional beer. Quality is everything. You know, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yeah.
So quality and consistency are the keys, we think, to our success over the years. And then, you know, we do innovate. We will bring out new beers, and we just want to continue to improve our services and improve the experience for the consumer. Every year we add on to this place in some way, or we modify it, whether it be adding trees or expanding the beer hut or doing other things. So for us, it's about a great consumer experience. You know, that's what we'll keep doing, and we're going to do it at all of our locations.
Yeah,
so
I love that. And I'll say I could definitely see that as we were just walking around the brewery before our interview. I could just see you were just picking up small little kind of pieces of trash or everything. It's very important to you, I can see, for the ambiance, just making sure that everything looks fantastic for your patrons that come here and enjoy a great beer. So.
Yeah, it's all about the experience. The beer tastes better if the place is great.
Yep.
And so we want our beer to be great no matter where you're drinking it, but we think it tastes a little bit better here just because of the atmosphere.
Full transparency, my favorite beer is the Copper. It's been the Copper for a very long time. Do you have a favorite beer or?
Yeah, it's Copper. So I like to say that I make Copper for myself first and everyone else second. Copper is the beer I fell in love with when I first went to Germany in 1989. And that's a Dusseldorf Alt beer, that's the style. And for me, there was no question that was going to be our flagship. And you know, of course, the other beers I love too. You know, our Captain Jack Pilsner is a fantastic Pilsner. Our Hornets Nest Hefeweizen is just like a Hefeweizen in Munich. And I drink those. I drink all of our beers. Yeah. But I think I drink 8 Coppers for every one of the others.
I love it. I love it. And then you guys also have a Kolsch as well, I think for the summertime, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have what we call Brewers Reserves, and that's where we make special beers that are mostly limited to our tap room. And those rotate throughout the year. Kolsch is one of them during the summer. We have another one, a pale Weizenbock coming out here shortly. So we do a variety of beers throughout the year.
What great events do you have coming up that people can come and join you for?
Well, the next event coming up is right after Thanksgiving, and it runs right through Christmas every weekend. It's our Christmas market, or Weihnachtsmarkt in German. In my opinion, that's our best event of the year. It's just so wonderful. It's during the Christmas season, everyone has that holiday spirit, and the atmosphere out here is great with the fire pits going. And the Christmas huts where we have vendors selling food and crafts, and people just love it. And so we have the weekend starting Black Friday, every weekend all the way up to the weekend before Christmas. Really, it's a great event. It's my favorite by far.
Everybody can obviously come down and join you here in South End pretty much every day, right?
Yep.
Soon in Valentine, Mount Holly, and also Cornelius as well. Find you in most supermarkets in the area as well. How else can they stay updated on what's going on with you guys, events you have coming up, and openings of the stores to come? Yeah,
well, I think social media is probably the best. I mean, we try to keep that up to date daily, so let people know what's going on. We're also now spreading across the state of North Carolina, and so our beer is now available in grocery stores in Wilmington and Winston-Salem and Raleigh, so we're excited about that. So yeah, I think just social media is probably the best way to keep in touch with what's going on here.
That's super cool. Awesome. Well, John, I'm super excited to have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about Olde Mecklenburg Brewery, what you guys have going on, and what we can expect to see here in the future. So it's been fantastic chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.